in discussions?
It's just been a this year thing, to my knowledge. The UFL is kind of this year-to-year entity. It seems they brought in a lot of really big name investors with Mike Rapoli, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and I think they were looking to get into some new markets. And it seems like the plan that they're following is they want to be in soccer-specific stadiums that look great on TV. They look full, they look rowdy, they're really intimate with seating locations, and I think Mike Rapoli can speak to this more tomorrow, but certainly his experiences coming to Louisville and Kentucky for the Derby and horse racing in general, I think he knew about this place and thought it would be a fit.
I saw a quote from Mike that he said, if we did not have Lynn family, we wouldn't have this team here. What does that say to the quality of what this place is? Well,
I think it's a testament to what we built here, not just with the ownership, but with our fans, because it's one thing to have a stadium, it's another to prove that you can fill it, which we do on an every week basis here. So not just that, but we are the only stadium that is not an MLS stadium that they're moving to for soccer. You look at Houston and Dallas and these other markets, we're an outlier, and it's an honor to be that outlier because I think it speaks to how elite this venue is and what we have here.
I was saying, how much does having a pro football team help soccer in just growing the game and getting bigger?
Yeah, we certainly hope this helps grow our soccer fan base. I think it's probably no secret there's a difference in the demographic between your average football fan and your average soccer fan, and there's probably a lot of people who still drive past Slim Family Stadium and think, oh, that looks nice, but I don't really have a reason to go there. We hope this gives them another reason to come out here and sort of get in that funnel of people who say, well, that was pretty cool. I might want to come back for a Louisville City or Racing Louisville game.
So you hope there's a somewhat of a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, well,
to bring more sports to Louisville in general.
I don't know what other sports could be on deck after. It feels like we've got maybe enough teams for our venue here. But yeah, I think they can work together. And we've already talked. In the limited discussions I've had with the UFL on the marketing side, it's all about how can we work together and make this feel like a real home for them, in addition to being a real home for us.
Economically, based on what you all see with soccer and racing, what do you anticipate with the UFL?
Economically, I don't know maybe facts and figures of that variety. I do know that there's a lot of geography with other teams as far as Birmingham and St. Louis. You may have people travel in, but I also think even though this team is called the Louisville Kings, a lot of the online reaction I've seen is people from out in the state. It's people who have cardinal birds as their online avatar. It's people who have UK logo. There's a lot of people who are excited to just have a football team, and this is the point I often bring up with soccer is, I come from, I would call a mixed sports family where my mom's side is U of L fans, my dad's side UK fans. We don't go to those games together, right? If I'm a U of L fan, I don't go with them. But if you're a U of L fan and your buddy's a UK fan and you wish you could go to a game together, this gives you another option and another sport that you probably wish you could enjoy together as it is right now.
I know you said you want to make it feel as much of a home as you can. Obviously, there's probably branding everywhere. And on top of that, that's a soccer pitch out there. I don't see a 50-yard line yet. So what is the logistics of getting with 2 games? Has that been discussed?
It's definitely been discussed. I don't know the ins and outs of what a flip would look like or how long it would take. What I have heard is we'll obviously try to play a football game on a non-home weekend for soccer. But definitely if we were to have both events here on the same weekend, we would be playing football after soccer. I don't think we would want to have a football game, have the field get chewed up a little bit, and then have to go play a soccer game where it really does matter how the ball rolls on the pitch. You don't have big gashes on the field. The example that we've really looked at and the club that we've talked to is in Washington, D.C. So Audi Field has been home to the D.C. Defenders since, I believe, 2020. But they also are home to the D.C. United of MLS, the Washington Spirit of NWSL, and I believe some other tenants. They may have a third soccer team that plays there. So you look at how much wear and tear they could have on the field. I know our grounds team has been in contact with them to just wonder, how does that work logistically? And we felt confident in speaking to them. The climate is not too different either. We felt confident in speaking to them that we could pull this off. But I would add, that the UFL season, we're looking at 5 home games played here. The first week of the season is the last weekend of March, and it'll be over by the time I think you get to early mid-June. So it's 5 games spaced out. We won't really have more than 1.5 games a month here. And at the end of the season, there is a provision in our agreement with the UFL that if the field is chopped up. If it needs to be replaced, it'll be replaced for the rest of the soccer season.
What about like the middle of the season? Like if there's one game and it gets kind of chopped up, is the UFL still responsible, or is that your groundskeepers?
That one, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, this is early, but how are the players thinking about having, I don't want to say roommates, but sharing this?
Yeah, that one I don't know yet. I know the teams are aware. Obviously, if you got to go have that conversation with the coach, right? And you want to make sure that they're on board and understand. We don't intend for them to play on a field that's not suitable for soccer.
Speaking of conversations, can you tell us who approached who first?
I don't know who approached who, but I do know Mike Rapoli was a big part of wanting to move a team to Kentucky, and specifically Louisville. And I know John Neese, who is Soccer Holdings chairman, CEO. John has become a big soccer guy, but before he was a big soccer guy, he's a big football guy. I know John was, he's a UK season ticket holder. He has Bengals season tickets. So, he loves all kinds of football.
This may seem like apples and oranges, but the Indianapolis 500 started out as just the Memorial Day race.
Yep.
Then it grew into a Brickyard 400. And they even talked about bringing in the Grand Prix, which they did for a while. Was growth like this, starting off with a soccer and then maybe incorporating football into Lynn Family Stadium's plans?
I wouldn't say football specifically, but when this was built, it was built to be a community asset. We didn't know whether that would be concerts or festivals or other sports, but we've always been open to opportunities. This is one that we all sat down and it happened. There have been other things that have come on the radar that people say, here's a new venue, we want to check it out. And there's some things that didn't happen over the years, but we've always been open to having those conversations and wanting to, make sure the lights are on here as many dates as possible and that the community can enjoy this, whether they're a soccer fan or whether we're trying to get them to become one.
If you can, just back to comparisons with DC, where would this team hypothetically practice if not here?
So my understanding is the UFL, it's like a centralized league where all the teams are showing up to one facility in the Dallas area in Texas, and then they will fly in basically to play their games. So we should not have to really house them for practices. I think if we had to, though, I look at our facility down the road, the Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Center. We have turf fields there. I'm sure we could make that work. I don't know if that's even in the plans, but we would find space. And we've had American football camps and clinics over at those fields before. We've done lacrosse and other sports, so it would be suitable for that.
Contract-wise, is this a 1 or 2 year, see how it goes, or is it a 5-year? How will we?
I don't have that information. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What do you say to fans that are just worried about, because a lot of them, this is soccer. This is a soccer pitch, not a football field. I mean, what would you say to them to ease their worries?
I would say we were worried about it too the first time we heard about it, and that was a big part of the fact-finding process, especially with the DC Stadium, and reaching out to them and just being like, what is the worst you've seen, and what is average? And actually, those were pretty close. They didn't say they'd ever had to replace the field because of football. They were like, it's kind of business as usual. Obviously, if we were to try to play a game on a day like this, where it's pouring down rain, the situation might be a little bit different. But yeah, this is first and foremost is a soccer-specific stadium. What I would say to our fans is, the ownership over the years has invested a lot into soccer between the facilities and the teams. We do not turn a profit, and so things like this, when we can bring other partners in that will inject cash into the organization, help ensure that our teams are as competitive moving forward as they are now. When I look at our seasons, Louisville City continues to raise the bar. Last year we said, this is the greatest season we ever had. How can it get any better? And then we started this season, and it got even better. And racing Louisville on the edge of making the playoffs for the first year ever. So we want to keep that going, and part of that is finding different ways to fund what you're here to do, which is win soccer games.
A lot of been talking in the past about possibly developing this area bigger. And we have a lot of, now we have a whole new sport coming here. Does that kind of give a shot in the arm to? Maybe do you need to start thinking about making it bigger around the stadium?
That's not a project I've been too involved in. I know we've announced the intention to build the apartments on the gray lot over there off Cable Street. I'm sure that logically things like this could move the timeline up, but that's not to say that they're not already trying to move as fast as they can to develop. The stadium opened in 2020, and it was really kind of announced of what it would look like in 2017, when the world has fundamentally changed since then. And so when you look at mixed use and maybe what the demand was for mixed use in Louisville in 2017, it's really changed as far as office space and some of those different examples. So, I know they're continuing to plug away on that apartment project and what else could be developed around the stadium. What I would say for anybody who doesn't know, the stadium is surrounded by gravel parking lots for a reason. We haven't paved those lots for a reason, and that's because we do intend over time for them to be developed on.
Anybody else? You got anything else we didn't ask you about that you want fans to know about? Or
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That
Appreciate it.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.